Hi everyone, it's Bren here and welcome to a beautiful warm spring day in Australia. And I've been so busy in the garden this week, but it's been worth all the effort because I feel like I'm more prepared for the growing season ahead. So among other things this week, I finally finished off the garden bed that's going to have all my vine crops. I've also popped in the ground all of the overwintered chilies, capsicums and eggplants. And I've got a new area set up for some tomatoes. So let's go and check all of that out now. Plus I want to give you an update on how I'm getting on with dehydrating my oranges and celery. I'm starting off this week's garden update over at this garden bed because it's looking beautiful at the moment, but I do know that it's not going to look like this for much longer. And that is because it's full of annual flowers which are cold hardy. These will be pulled out soon and replaced with summer annuals. This red mustard green is one of my favourites to grow. Although it's an edible crop, you can eat the leaves. My family and I don't have much of this at all, but I will always grow it here in the garden because it just looks so ornamental. It's a real eye catcher with its beautiful red foliage. There's also these dainty white flowers. These are from a kale plant which is bolted. There's calendulas, lots of borage, elysium and lobelias. And there are also a few perennials in here, but it's mostly an annual bed. Just you wait until you see it this summertime. It's going to be even more colourful than this. Also in this garden bed, past the lime tree, are two plants which didn't quite work out for me this year. So you may remember I left two eggplants in the ground just in here to try and overwinter them, and unfortunately they died on me. This is all I have left. Some dead twiggy plants. There's one there, and over here I had planned, I think months ago, of digging these up and overwintering them. Then I ended up not doing it and I decided to leave them both in the ground, see how they'd go, and they did not survive the mild frosts which we received here over a couple of weeks in winter time. Not to worry though, because I still have plenty of other eggplants which I did dig up. Let me go and show you them now. They're all planted in the fan garden. This is the mostly eggplant garden bed. You can see the ones in here which have been overwintered. They're looking a little bit scrawny, but give them a few weeks to settle in, and in a couple of months they'll be nice and full. The great thing about overwintering these plants is that you get a crop a lot earlier than you would if you were growing them from seed all over again. That's one of the main benefits of growing them. I think this one here is, it's the Thai egg ball. There's also a Casper over there, and I did go out to the garden centre and bought a few eggplants as well because I have got some in the greenhouse. I'm trying two new varieties which I tried to grow last year, which are the golden ball and the red ruffle. I had no success last year. I'm hoping I will this year, but just in case, I bought some extra eggplants to put in here. Let's check this label and see what this one is. The black pearl. First time ever growing this one. Thought I'd give it a go. While I'm over here, I'll show you this garden bed which has 6 plants in it. These are my overwintered chilies and capsicums. I'm not quite sure how a couple of them are going to go. This one here, I've lost the label. It's looking pretty scrawny looking, but I might be able to get another year out of it. I think it's at least 2 years old. And then this one here is the Mad Hatter capsicum, looking fantastic. Such a little trooper. I remember this summer and autumn time I got so many capsicums from it, so I'm hoping now I'll have the same success this year with it. I've been harvesting lots of oranges. I have this box full of them, and there are plenty more on the tree that I need to get preserving. I have been putting my dehydrator to good use, so I've been drying some out like this. They were in the dehydrator for about 15 hours. I cut them nice and thin, and the temperature was 65 degrees Celsius. These are lovely as little snacks, or I can make them into garlands as well, which is perfect for Halloween. I've also been dehydrating some of this celery too. Let me show you a short video which I made for my TikTok account. Transform celery to powder. First wash and chop. Place in a dehydrator for 20 hours at 55 degrees Celsius. Then blend. Use this in cooking. Delicious as a seasoning. So here it is in this jar. As you can see, there's not very much of it. It pretty much goes down to hardly anything. But a few people have suggested that I can add salt into here, and that might bulk it out a bit, and I'll be able to use it as celery salt. It just makes me wonder though, is it worth all the effort to dehydrate celery when you get such a small amount from such a large bunch of it? I know celery is mostly water, but you know, I also using the electricity to have the dehydrator on for that long as well. So it is something I'm going to think about. Maybe what I need to do is maybe just not grow as much celery. Next year I might just grow enough for what we need to eat as we go and forget about trying to preserve it. Beside our lemon tree down the slope is our main dahlia patch, which I mulched this week with mushroom compost. I put it on about 3 inches thick, and this is full of organic matter which will feed the plants as they grow over the coming months. I've also marked each of them out with a stake, which will give them support as they grow throughout summer and autumn time. For those of you who are new to dahlias, they are tuberous herbaceous perennials. So in autumn time I cut back the foliage right down to the ground, and I leave the tubers in there. If you live in an area that receives frost during winter or even snow, you're much better off digging up your tubers. There's a piece of one there from this plant, because if you leave these in the ground you risk them dying off with the cold weather conditions. So you can dig them up in autumn time and store them in a shed or a garage away from the frost, and once the weather warms up in spring you can put them back out into the ground. I'm happy to see that I have fresh shoots coming up on this one, as well as a couple of others over here and just there. No sign of the other plants yet, but I don't think it will be too long now before this is covered in green foliage. I'm up beside the back door looking down towards the raised garden bed area, and check out the apple trees. They're starting to bloom. Let's have a look around. Garden bed is looking really different now, because during the week I pulled out the rest of the annual chrysanthemum plants. You may remember they were planted along the border of this garden bed, but they were starting to look a little bit tired, and I really want to get my summer flowers in. So I had already shown you that I put in 2 African daisy plants, which are annuals. They'll grow up to 50 centimeters. They've got yellow and orange flowers, and what I ended up doing was continuing with the planting of these. There's 3 more here, plus on the end I popped in a cosmos plant. I just want to talk quickly about the other plants that I put in here back in autumn winter time. So we're looking at the Russian red kale, which has loved this full sun position. The plants are beautiful and healthy, full size, but because the weather has started to warm up and they are a cold winter crop, I've noticed that they are starting to bolt. You can see there that there's some flower buds appearing, so these will be coming to an end soon. I will leave them in here and let them flower for the bees and other beneficial insects. Now let's talk about the sweet peas. So I had 3 teepees here. I have removed one. I will probably put it back in. It was just down here. And do you notice what's missing? The sweet peas. They did not do well for me this year, and I think it's probably because of the slug and snail issues I have had. So out of all the plants that I've put in around the base of these teepees, I only have one that has grown. Here it is, one sad lonely plant. I'm going to leave it in here anyway, and I might get a few flowers off it. Over here beside that bed, I've also cleared out a lot of self-seeding annual plants which were here because I wanted to get my pathway back, which started off here beside that Johnny Jump Viola plant. It comes around the corner past the perennial basil and through this wooden archway. I really need to come and fix this up because it looks like it's just hanging in there. I mean, I'm kind of almost nervous to touch it, let alone walk underneath it in case I get hit by one of these branches. Once that job's done and I come in here and trim back this perennial basil, I'll then have a nice wide footpath again, and I'm thinking along here beside the lemon verbena, which is starting to put out little fresh green shoots, I might put some annual plants, like a big patch of zinnias there. They will look so pretty. And over there is where the Dahlia patch is. This week I created a new garden bed out the front beside this one here. But before I show you that, I want to take a look at the lacy Phacelia because there are lots of flowers now. So if I come around this way, over here last year where I had lots of zucchini plants up along the driveway, I've now made it into a tomato bed. It's about 6 meters long and I think it's about 7 tomato plants in here, some of which I grew from seed and others which I purchased. Along the front of the bed I've put in these lemon drop marigolds, and at either end I've put in a African marigold. Down one end of this garden bed I have given about 1 meter square to flowers. So in here I have quite a lot packed in, which haven't been spaced out very well, but that's really typical me. If it does get a bit too crammed, I will just transplant some of these. But for the moment, I have a Mexican hat flower, a sea holly, a multi-stem sunflower, a couple of straw flowers here too. This salvia, which I purchased, has lovely pink flowers, and then a marigold. I'm trying out something a little bit different when it comes to supporting these tomato plants. So usually I give them an individual stake, but not this year. Here I am trying out this kind of system where I've put in 4 stakes and I've used some chicken wire to support the plants. I'll tie them up on it as they grow and as I give them a bit of a prune. We'll see how that goes. I might have to put some extra additional stakes in here at the base just to make sure that it's really sturdy, because the last thing I want to happen is for the whole thing to collapse over. I chose chicken wire because it's affordable here, and for I think this was a 10-meter roll, I was able to cover this entire area, and I'll be able to reuse it again and again. A lot of the gardeners which I follow on YouTube are mostly from the US, and I've noticed that a lot of them recommend using cattle panels or hog panels, I think they're called, to support your tomatoes. And I've looked into them here in Australia and they're quite expensive. They must be a lot cheaper over in the US. So this is my my version over here. It's definitely not as sturdy as it would be if I used the cattle panels, but it might just do. We'll wait and see how it goes this summer, and I'll keep you updated. I haven't showed you this area in ages. This is where I grow a lot of my vining crops out in the front garden. I've been working on it a little bit here and there over the last couple of months, clearing it out, fixing it up, and it's now ready for planting. To get this area ready, what I did was, as I was cutting back plants in the front garden, I would dump the cuttings in here, and then I covered the entire area with cardboard to kill off any seeds that may be in there, to allow these cuttings to break down and feed the soil. I also put sugarcane mulch over the top of the cardboard, which you can see there. And then for each place where I'm going to put in a plant, I put in a wheelbarrow load of mushroom compost. I'm also going to add some manures, probably cow manure and chicken manure too. Then it will be ready for planting. So it's a bit different, I guess, to what a lot of people would do, but this works so well for me. And over the next few months, the cardboard underneath the mushroom compost will break down and the plants in here will grow, and they'll be able to penetrate the soil underneath as well. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to put some zucchinis, some a few pumpkins, not too many this year, a watermelon plant, and what else, maybe some melons as well. I'm now standing at the back door looking down towards the garden. Well, that's it for this week, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all again next Friday.